Hello everyone, welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have another Star Collecting Warcry video for you, and this time we're going to be looking at the Kharadron Overlords. Now, with some of the warbands that are available in Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry, I think a great way to get started with the warbands is actually picking up the Warhammer Underworlds warband. And for Kharadron Overlords, they do have one of these, and it's called Thundrik's Profiteers. It's a great box set as it gives you a great variety of different troops to start off your Warcry warband force. So let's get looking at what exactly is inside this box. So to start with, we're going to look at the leader, the hero within the box, and that is an Aether Chemist, who I think is probably the best model to get for a Kharadron Overlords force inside Warcry. He's not the most fighty and he's not the most shooty out of any of them. However, what he does do is, unlike a lot of the other options, he has a really cool ability that helps with army-wide buffs. So he's got an ability they can use that allows you to sort of subtract attack rolls around him and sort of help keep your Kharadrons in the fight a little bit better. I think he does the best job in providing some buffs. And he's also got access to generic ones as well. We then get two different Arcanaut Company. One we get with the Privateer Pistol and Arcanaut Cutter. That's just the the sword and pistol, and nothing fantastic. Only defensive 3, 12 wounds, and Kharadron Overlords once again they're dwarves, so movement of 3, so they do really struggle there. But he's pretty decent, and he's really cheap at 65 points. Now the other thing you can look at is we've also got a Arcanaut Company with an Aethermatic Volley Gun. This is another cool thing we can get. And he comes in a little bit more points, but he also has a much better weapon. So he hasn't got the strength, the 2 attack weapon. He's got strength 3 like the Privateer Pistol, but he has 6 shots. So he's got a good chance to try and get those crits in there as well. We then have a Grun stock Thunderer who's just got the basic Aether shot rifle. 2-4 for his damage is really nice at range, and 3 to 15 inch range is really solid. He's got a long range for his weapon. Lastly, we've got a Skyward with Vulcanizer Pistol and Sky Pike. This is a great combat unit we have for the Arcanauts here. And what he does is he's got 2-5 for his damage and crit rating in combat, strength of 4, 3 attacks, and he's got 16 wounds as well, so he can keep in the fight. And a defensive 4 as well, should be noted for both him and the Grunstock Thunderer. So we've got a great little starting force here, I think, with all of these models, and they're really great sculpts as well. I love the Arcanaut Company sort of opening up his weapon there, and the sort of running look that the Grunstock Thunderer has got. There's some fantastic models within this kit. So let's look at how we can expand this. So where can we go to expand our Kharadron Overlords force? For starters, Grunstock Thunderers and Arcanaut Company, Skywardens and Engine Riggers are the options that are worthwhile looking at. I don't think many of the other hero options really do a lot. A lot of them are very combat central based, and we're not really a combat centralized warband, so they don't really do much. You might get some use there out of a particular unit champion sort of leader option, potentially as though. But what's great about all these box sets here is they all have a variety of different weapon options in them. For starters, the Thunderers not only give us the Aether Shot Rifle and more options for that, but we've also got things like the Leader option in there, the Mortar, the Cannon, the Deck Sweeper, the Fumigator. They've got so many different war cards and different fighters here. It's just a great little box set. Arcanaut Company, much the same. While the majority of the box is just, your cutters and your pistols, you do have a Sky Pike, another volley gun in there, and also a Skyhook as well, which is cool, and a leader model as well. So you've got another box set with a ton of different options to choose from. The Engine Riggers and Skywardens are both part of the same dual kit for both units, but once again, they've got so many options within them, because both of them not only have their combat variations and leader variations of the models, but also have access to drill launchers, grapnel launchers, and skyhooks for both units as well. So you've got a ton of different shooting and combat potential units here. A particular favourite of mine are the grapnel launchers. They've got some really cool abilities and give you a movement even better than the rest of your Skywardens and Engine Riggers. So let's look at our abilities, and we can start to sort of see how the warband will focus and work in this. So for starters, let's talk about our fighter abilities. And we've got the double Ancestral Fortitude, which can be used by any Kharadron Overlords models. So this, until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the toughness fighter characteristic of this fighter. So you can just make one of your fighters a little bit tougher. This can be really good, especially on some of your more tough baseline units that have got a toughness of 4 or 5 in particular instances. So what this means is they can be really hard to hurt. You then got double for Grapnel Launcher. This is the ability I was talking about a little before and alluding to. Grapnel Launcher is great. You can sort of pick one of your fighters to shoot at a piece of terrain within 20 inches of them, and they automatically sort of move next to that piece of terrain. It's a great ability to have access to in your warband. It can really mean you can just sort of control the battlefield however you want. It can really help you sort of make big leaps in the game late in the game. You then got the triple, keep your distance. A fighter can use this ability only if they're within 3 inch, and they can automatically make a disengage. This is cool because it's not going to affect any of their other actions, because it's going to be a bonus disengage. Triple, Master of the Skies. You can add 1 to damage points allocated by each hit and critical hit from attack action made by this fighter that target enemy fighters with the fly rune mark. Once again, really cool. This is providing some targeted sort of damage here for your Kharadron Overlords. That's going to come in handy fire against other things that can fly. And there's quite a few things. What this is also going to do, by being able to damage flying stuff more, you're going to be able to control the flying sort of abilities of your opponent. And quad, we've then got time charges. So a fighter can use this ability if they're within 3 inch of an enemy fighter. Allocate a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability to enemy fighters within 1 inch, and then this fighter makes a bonus disengage. So, as if the damage wasn't already good enough, and if you get a higher quad here, this can be really great, but you get to make a free disengage as well, which is just amazing. That extra movement can be key to winning games. Now, let's look at the leader abilities. And so, first of all, we've got the double, which is the supercharged Endrin harness, and this is for our Endrin master. His thing he can do is he can add 1 to the strength and attack characteristics of attack made by this fighter that have a range of 3 or less. So he pretty much just starts pumping up himself. This can be pretty good because it does mean he can put himself to 5 attacks at a strength of 6, meaning he's just going to absolutely mince anything he touches. So you really do have some great combat fighters in the Kharadron Overlords when you start using these abilities. Though, once again, you're not really wanting to get too close into melee. You then got Harrying Drill Bill, and this is of course used by the Grunstock Thunderer Sergeant with his little drill bill. And you can sort of pick a enemy fighter within 20 inches of this fighter until the end of the battle round. That fighter cannot make disengage actions. So you can just sort of harry and make sure your opponent's fighters can't do anything if you've tied them up with some of your cheaper troops. Then got a triple fight for profit. Until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the attack characteristics of attack actions made by friendly fighters whilst they are within 6 inch of this fighter. If the fighter is carrying an objective or within 3 inch of the objective, you add 2 instead. So this can be great. It's effectively your leader can then go, and for note, this one can be used by any leaders for Kharadron Overlords. Your leader sits on an objective, claims it, and then tells all his troops around him to protect him, and they get more attacks. This can be really great on some of your higher value weapons, things like the Aether Cannon and such. Triple is Aethermatic Isolation, and this can be used by your Aether Chemist. This is a really cool ability because until the end of the battle rounds, you subtract 1 from the attack characteristic of attack actions made by enemy fighters whilst they're within 6 inch of this fighter. So, not only do you have access to sort of give your fighters more attacks, you can also negative your opponent's attacks, meaning you can just have that circle of Kharadron Overlords standing and shooting while your opponent gets less and less to do against you. Lastly, we've got the quad Aether Storm, and this can be used by our Etheric Navigator. So you pick an invisible enemy fighter anywhere on the battlefield and roll a number of dice equal to the value of this ability. For each 2+, allocate 3 points to that fighter. So you can sort of target a storm towards a fighter. Some really cool abilities, particularly a light fight for profit and atmospheric isolation. I got there with the word in the end, as they allow just your chemist to really control the ebb and flow of the battle. So let's get looking at how we can put this all into practice into a starting warband list. So this is the warband we've come up with. It comes just shy of 1,000 points. Now we're going to use all the models from Thundrix Profiteers, mainly because I think the Aether Chemist, as I've mentioned in the video, is just a great shout. He has some really cool abilities and he really suits and does a good job of leading this force. An Arcanaut company with Privateer Pistol and Arcanaut Cutter, he's in there because he is nice and cheap. But The Aethermatic Volley Gun is another great shout, mainly because he's just got a heavy rate of fire, and if you can start sitting around our Aether Cannon and getting all those buffs off, you can potentially have quite a decent amount of attacks. The Grun stock Thunderers, we've chosen to go with two. We've got the Aether Shot Rifle that we've already got from Thunderix Profiteers. We're going to have an Aether Cannon as well, because the Aether Cannon is a fantastic weapon. So the Aether Cannon's base damage is 4. It's got 2 shots and a strength of 5. This can make it really, really deadly, especially when you consider sticking this near the Aether Chemist and he's using an ability while he's on an objective. This can potentially pump it up to 4 attacks at strength 5 and 4, and its crit damage is 8. This is just a fantastic piece of weaponry to have. No, it's still on a generic Kharadron Overlord, so he can be a little bit frail with only 12 wounds and a 4 for his defense. Next, we've got one Skyward with the Grapnel Launcher, which is really cool. We've talked about the Grapnel Launch ability. This just allows us to have a fighter on the battlefield that can sort of get to wherever he needs to be. And lastly, we've got our Skyward with Vulcanizer Pistol and Sky Pike. This is a great combat piece that sort of suits the rest of the force, where we've got all this shooting in the rest of the force. The Vulcanizer Pistol and Sky Pike version of the Skyward can go out and do some damage. The Sky Pikes can be pretty nasty with 3 attacks, strength of 4, and 2 and 5 for their damage and crit value as well. So they can be pretty good in a fight. Maybe not take on any one fight, but at least they can sort of go out and finish off those foes that are getting shot to pieces by the rest of your warband. If you've been running Kharadron Overlords in Warcry, I'd love to know what your warband loadout is, how you've been going, and what you've been doing on the battlefield with them. Let us know in the comments below. Well, thank you all for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. While you're on YouTube as well, why not go check out my featured channel section where there's a bunch of other fantastic Warhammer Age of Sigmar content creators doing everything from battle reports, lore videos, painting videos, narrative games, tactical videos, and more besides that as well. And if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the description of the video to our Discord server. Lastly though, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Thank you to our patrons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, The Q Dynamic, Augustin Andreas, Lopez Diaz, and Anthony B. And thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Firetine, Steve T, and The Real Zeop. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. If you'd like to help support the channel like they do and help us keep putting out Warhammer Age of Sigmar content and Warhammer content in general, please do go subscribe to Patreon or YouTube members in the description of the video below. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.